In this video, you're going to learn from Eric Stafford how to create a business that you love and that will endure over time. Eric Stafford has been through the ringer. He's been to the tippy top when it comes to entrepreneurial success, and he's also crashed. And he's here to tell you how to make sure that your life fits your business. Hey everybody, and welcome to 10-minute hacks from the best marketing minds. I am so happy that I've got Eric Stafford with me today. Coming from an advertising and design background, he's won numerous awards over the years, including several AAF and Addy awards. You'll have to make sure my pronunciation is correct there, Eric. You do digital and brand strategy. You are a very successful entrepreneur in your own right. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Good to see you. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
You got it, brother. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. Most entrepreneurs have a hard luck story, something that's pushing them to greatness. Eric, what's yours?
You know, Mike, I don't know that I have a hard luck story, but I would say that I have a wildly successful and didn't know how to handle it story.
That's not too shabby.
You know, I learned a lot of painful lessons, man. It's funny to look back on it now and I can joke about it. But, you know, we started our own internet business selling training and things of that nature back in 2007. We had some pretty quick success with it. By the end of 2008, I was working that business full time. We grew it to be a really very profitable and very successful business, but I didn't quite know how to handle that. And so ate out a lot, spent a lot of money really pretty foolishly, wasn't around a whole lot for my kids, and just sort of got caught up a little bit in the trappings of success. Took some major course correction to get me back into a place where I was being myself again.
Wow. What were you do? How did you get started online? Like, what was the marketing method that you were using that started to generate those first sales?
So I was at the time working in the agency world, AAF Addy and ARDA Awards.
There it is.
Excuse me. So at the time I was working in the agency world, and I started by chance met an internet marketer. Our daughters went to the same Montessori school together, and we became friends, and he started sort of showing me the ins and outs of internet marketing. And so that really was primarily it, right? I built my own course, a little product called the Faster Webmaster that showed people how to build websites and opt-in pages. This was 10 years before ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
And on the back of that little $50 course that I sold through ClickBank, that and affiliate marketing really were sort of the first dollars I ever made online.
Nice. What's your favorite platform today for driving traffic, generating leads?
Boy, that's tough, man. I would say maybe LinkedIn or Facebook.
Really? LinkedIn. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing on LinkedIn.
Well, these days, primarily my business is, corporate consulting, conversion consulting, brand strategy, brand mentoring. And so I'm working with a lot of individuals, a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of small business owners. And the best place to find them is simply by attracting them to me on Facebook and LinkedIn, right? There's not a whole lot of fancy marketing behind my business anymore, right? I just sort of show up and I'm myself, and I'm grateful to have some skills that create results for people. And I just get to be myself and sort of pick and choose who resonates with me and who I resonate. And a certain percentage of those people become clients.
I think there's two really important things that you said there. Number one is, depending on your business model, if you're B2C or business to consumer or business to business, you need to be really aware of what platform you're choosing. So you are B2B generally, so you're looking more for a LinkedIn style connection, whereas somebody who's B2C might be more interested in Facebook or Instagram or any of these other platforms.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, Mike. I think there's a lot of people these days that are getting into e-commerce. Like Shopify has made it very easy to sort of enter that space and get some traction. And so in cases like that, I know a lot of people are testing paid media. They're doing, Facebook ads, they're doing pay-per-click ads, maybe LinkedIn posts and Facebook sponsored posts and things of that nature, retargeting campaigns. But again, it's all going to really come down to what platform best suits you and your message and where your audience is, right? So a good percentage of my audience is already on Facebook and LinkedIn. I enjoy spending time there, and so it's a natural fit.
Right, right. What's the number one marketing hack that you use to defeat all others?
Beard, man. You know this as well as I do, right? The answer's got to be the powerful beard. Now, quite honestly, my friend, I would say that it's a great segue that you just made, because what we were just talking about, I think, transitions really well into this. I think that there's a lot of people out there that will tell you to just find a niche, find an area where there's opportunity and start building. But in my experience, you're going to wind up building yourself into a business that you don't like very much if you approach it that way, right? And you're speaking to a guy right now who is partnered in a dog clothing e-commerce store. And I've owned cats my entire life. Dogs look at me and see a giant Scooby snack or pizza roll, right? Like, dogs don't generally like me. I'm not a dog person at all. And yet somehow, because I had an old friend from college that needed some marketing help, I took a piece of equity in his business. And the next thing I knew, I was working on a dog store with a lot of my time. And lo and behold, shocking, I hated it, right? And so I think a lot of people will tell you that, just find some opportunity and run some ads to it and create sort of a sweet spot there for yourself. And if you're wired like that, I certainly don't mean to discredit what you're doing or discourage you. It's, my grandmother used to always say, there's no right or wrong answer. There's only the answer that's right for you. And in my experience, that answer just wasn't right for me. So working in alignment with what I really feel I was put here on this planet to do. I know it sounds sappy. I know it sounds crazy, but it really has made a massive difference for me. And so the number one hack that I would share with people would be that it would be to really take stock of what you are good at, what the world needs, what you can sell and earn money for, and try and find the sweet spot in the middle of all that where you can operate.
Reminds me of a quote, your vocation in life is where your greatest joy meets the world's greatest need.
I love that. I'm going to have to write that down.
That's a good one. I actually, outside of my digital marketing, I actually teach a course called Life Possibilities, where we help people clarify their talents, their passions, and their values, create a roadmap, based on that, leading to what the world needs. So the niching down is what the world needs. The passion, the purpose, that's what you need. And then you connect the two. I think you make such a great point here that it's not just about finding this niche or where the gold rush is or where the free money is. Are you going to be happy?
Yeah, absolutely. The Japanese have a word or concept wrapped around this, and the term is Ikigai, Ikigai, Ikigai. And Japanese believe that every person on the planet has one of these, and essentially what it means is what you had just said. It means your reason for being, right? Like, why are you here? And the Japanese believe that often people can spend their entire life searching for their Ikigai, and often can take a long and sort of introspective journey to reach enlightenment and find that spot. But when you find your Ikigai, you're essentially living in that fulcrum in the middle there where you're doing what you love. You're doing what you're good at. You're doing what the world needs, and you're doing that which you can get paid for, right? And I think when you come across people in your life who operate from that space, it's readily apparent. It just makes your mouth sort of fall open, because you know that they're not trying to sell you something. They'd be doing this anyway for free if they had to. They're incredibly good at it, and they don't have to shout at the heavens or create any sort of weird marketing around it to make that the truth, right? You can just sort of smell that out, right?
Dude, Ikigai, I love that.
It's good.
It is good, and that's something that so for those of you who are watching this video, you're hearing this, but the people on the podcast, they're not. So welcome to the deep conversation here. And I just love this idea, right? That you can be doing what you love and making money. I think I think we got it wrong a little bit in like the 60s and 70s, right? So it was like this idea that you should just follow your bliss. And I think that's okay, but I think it limits, I think it limits you because just because it's your bliss doesn't mean the world fucking needs it.
Right. Or will pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's not quite as easy as it sounds, but it definitely is worth doing the work to find that spot, right? Because I know, not to be a downer, but I know way too many people who are kind of douchebags and aren't very talented that are making an incredible amount of money right now. Not to sort of hate on them or to be jealous, but on the flip side of that, I know a lot of wildly skilled and inspiring people who are dead broke. And so you have to really sort of find that sweet spot and have some systems for communicating that in your marketing.
That's beautifully said. And it is about that sweet spot, because I know so many people who are beyond talented, who are not, who are not getting it done. And that's why I think marketing is so important. And that's why I'm passionate about it, because, I want to help people who don't necessarily, they have a great idea or a spark or a passion or something that could change the world, but they're not marketers and they really don't know the first thing about it, or maybe they don't even like it. Right. So I get jazzed up about helping people like that.
Yeah, I do as well. You and I are very similarly wired. I know for me, I've bought enough cars in my life that just the idea of that pushy, aggressive sales guy, it turns me off. And I just decided long ago that I wouldn't be that guy, often, quite honestly, to the detriment of my sales numbers, right? I was overly sensitive to it, right? And I think a lot of people are afraid of that. And I think it's natural, right? Like, when your son comes home and has a giant lump on his neck, the worst thing you can do is Google it, because Google's going to tell you he's got all sorts of horrible things. He's going to be dead in 30 minutes, right? And it's kind of similar with marketing advice. There's a lot of really bad marketing advice out there. And because there is, you see a lot of small businesses and, they don't want to be marketers, right? They want to make the most incredible pizza in your town, or they want to provide amazing, HVAC and AC services. They want to do what they feel they were put here to do. They want to live in their ikigai. They don't want to be a marketer, right? Right.
And there's and that's why there's so much opportunity out there for the little marketer, right? There's opportunities around every freaking corner for the little guy who's passionate about it, who wants to help these guys, get out their message. I thought you were trying not to cut me off.
No, this is getting a little long, so I actually keep playing with it. It's like back in college when I had my tongue pierced and I used to just not be able to leave it alone. I was like a pinball machine. Finally, I took the damn thing out.
Yeah. So, but that idea that there are so many little, places for great marketers, passionate marketers to be effective in the real world. And there's not enough of us out there to cover all of these amazing businesses that need help.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. We live in South Florida. I know that you're a little bit north of me, but not too much, right? But Orlando, so here in Southwest Florida, this area is wildly susceptible to ups and downs because of the seasonal nature of where we live, right? There's a lot of tourists for half the year that drive a lot of business. And then the other half of the year, there's no one. It is very quiet, right? Orlando's got Disney and has quite a few, big convention sort of business and quite a few attractions.
But it's still roller coaster.
Right. So here it's not so much roller coaster. It's sort of like boom, 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 nothing. Every year, right? Boom, 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 nothing.
Right.
And so a lot of businesses, when they're faced with that, Mike, they immediately sort of default to, let's offer a discount. Let's run a promo. Let's run a special. And the problem is that when that slowdown hits, it doesn't just hit your pizza shop or your HVAC company. It hits every single pizza shop or HVAC company in the area. And guess what they're all thinking? They're all thinking, let's create a promo. Let's offer a discount. Let's put together a package. And so to really get clear on your passion and how you communicate that and your reason for being and what your USP is, what you really actually give to people, right? So we work with a local maid down here. Every maid company I've ever seen in my life, they sort of paint this picture of glitter and fairy tales and giant white smiles and clean professional people. And the maid that we're working with is having a ton of success right now because they understand that they're not selling a clean house. What they're selling is you getting your time back, right? And so I would encourage you to think about really what it is that you do and what it is that you offer and why you're different and why you're amazing, and make that the core of your marketing. And you can sort of layer on top of that. Geico's done a great job of that, right? Like they've got lizards, they've got frogs, they've got, celebrity endorsement people. But at the end of the day, they always say 15 minutes will save you 15% on your car insurance, right? And so they understand
15% or more.
Right. They understand that that's their USP though, right? And so
Right.
A lot of this comes down to communicating what's important to you in a really authentic way.
Absolutely. There's this idea that, if you can help people understand what, it's like getting into the conversation that's already happening in their head, right? And instead of trying to bust down the wall and try to have them listen to your conversation. Fantastic. So, all right. Marketing is always changing. The tools are always changing. What are you looking forward to learning about, educating yourself about in 2017 and beyond?
Man, that's a good question. You have a good answer for that I could steal from you?
Nope.
I'm really fascinated by sort of immersive and mobile technologies. And I think that the whole engagement piece that comes along with that in terms of people being able to comment, interact, share, endorse things on the fly, no matter where they are, from their watches or their phones or their headsets. I think it's fascinating. And I think that it's going to play more and more into popular culture and eventually into branding and marketing, right? You've seen a lot of this with Facebook, right? Where people are building entire audiences on Facebook and they're not even monetizing them. There's a Southwest Florida foodies group down here for people that are just looking for really good restaurant recommendations. And it's gotten so big and so popular now that most of the restaurant owners in our area are actually monitoring it for conversations relating to their brand, right? So back in the ad agency days, not to sound like a jerk, but we didn't have to do a lot of that shit, right? Like you'd run some focus groups, you'd do some surveys and get some feedback. But now any asshole with a keyboard can go online and trash your business, right? And so it's a two-way conversation now more than ever as it applies to marketing. And so I'm really fascinated to see how companies are quickly, fluidly adapting to providing support on multiple channels, letting people own a little piece of the brand in multiple social situations, and how that really plays out as we get more and more and more mobile.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Like, building the brand ambassadors of the future on mobile. There's so much happening there, and it's just going to continue to grow. You did remind me of this, when you were talking before about, the boom and bust nature of your area and how, people aren't thinking about the right value propositions when they're trying to bring that back. And I think this idea of mobile ambassadors and things like that. I mean, think about that. Think if you had somebody who, is an incredibly influential person and they're coming to your restaurant, out of all the restaurants that there are that are in a bust cycle, how's that going to impact your business and what's that going to look like in the future? I remember I used to grow organic produce, right? And we would sell it at farmers market. And then by time, the peak tomato season hit us, all of the freaking farmers would drop their organic tomato prices to like 30 fucking cents a pound. And I'm like, you might as well just give them away. Like, let's all pack up and go home. What are we doing here? And I think that's important to recognize, as you're a business owner, if you're experiencing some, a negative trend, don't be the business or the entrepreneur that it's not a race to the bottom only destroys everybody. Like you have to find ways to promote more value and get more engagement from the people that can help your business.
Yeah, again, it's tough. I mean, these are just people that don't want to be marketers. And what they know about marketing is what they read when they do Google searches or when they listen to podcasts. And again, the power of the internet has made all of us critics. It's put, a certain amount of ownership of every brand on the planet into our own hands. but it's also taught a lot of people a lot of things about marketing that aren't entirely true.
Right. What's your favorite marketing book or app or program?
Korean food. I thought you said, what's your favorite ethnic food? Sorry about that. I was gonna go Indian. We really enjoy Indian food, but then I thought I'm gonna go Korean. I like Korean food quite a bit.
I'm a Thai fan.
Oh, I love Thai food. So as far as my favorite marketing app or book, that would be tough to say. I'm a big fan of direct response marketers. And it's funny because I learned to be a fan of direct response marketing through one of my absolutely favorite ad copywriters of all time, David Ogilvy, who hated direct marketing and thought direct marketers were like the scum of the earth, right? He was more mainstream, right, David Ogilvy. But I learned a lot from people like Gary Halbert and Eugene Schwartz and, hardcore direct mail, direct response copywriters. I'm a big fan of it because, again, like anything, there's sort of that fine line between loving what you do and being very genuine and being willing to do it for free, and also having the balls to persuade people and close sales. And I don't think that has to be shitty or unethical. I think when you're operating from that sweet spot and you know that what you do helps people, you're almost morally obligated to be good at sales and to push a couple of buttons and to have some balls around it so that you can actually help people.
That's fantastic. Eric, it's an absolute pleasure hanging out with you today. I could probably go on with this conversation for the rest of the afternoon, but I do respect your time, and I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you including me, man. Thanks so much.
You got it. Where can people find you, Eric?
You can find me at ericstafford.com, or you can go to followeric.com with a K and hook up with all my different social media profiles.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Have a great day, brother.
Thank you.